What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 10 here at the dojo for Head Kick Radio. That's all I have to say about that. Starting out, I just want to say that I have a bad Mama Jamma in my presence right now, and I've name dropped him on a couple of podcasts so far. He is the Squatch. He is John Mejia. What's up, buddy?
What's up, guys? Good to hear. Good to see you.
Good to see me, or good to see these guys and these wavelengths in front of me?
I don't know, man. It's good to see your tattoos on your nice white skin.
Dude, I'm so pasty.
No, you're not. You're looking good right now.
Thanks, man. Build my ego. I
Dude,
appreciate you.
You're looking good. Sun kiss. That's what I'm gonna go with right now.
What's sun kiss?
That's what. No, your sun kiss. Like the sun just like is danced off of your body, and all of a sudden you've got this nice bronze. Not your white. Sorry.
Yeah, dude. I don't know where you're going, but I like it.
I was gonna give you a tan compliment, but
until people see like that's I have to Photoshop every picture because if not, I'm the pastiest dude in there. Like I took a picture one time with my dad, and he was so pasty, and I was putting a good filter on me, but it made him look like a ghost. So then I had to. My dad listens to these, so yeah. So I had to fix it. It was good stuff. Oh my
goodness!
But let's jump right in, buddy. I have to ask you, how did you get the name Squatch?
To be honest, I don't even know. I just kind of came about. Everybody started calling me that probably 3 or 4 years ago. It was weird. Like, I have no clue. I literally have no idea. I think Jake from Fight Chicks, he bought me like a toy that was like a Bigfoot doll, and like I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. And he's like, "Oh yeah, you look like a Squatch," like that, and like you put on 85 pounds in like a year and a half and grow a beard, like that's a real grizzly. Like people are gonna start calling you weird names. So what can you do?
That's yeah, I get it, but so for everybody that doesn't know John is he used to be one of my coaches at 10th Planet Chicago under Josh Pacini, and you would teach the Friday night class.
Still do. And
you would teach my favorite go-to move in any role I ever get in, the Darce. And you had this sequence, and I want to tell this cool story really quickly, actually. So John was in a fight to win for all you jiu-jitsu listeners out there. Everybody knows what fight to win is. And John was in one, I think the last one I went to was probably a year and a half ago. And yeah. I can't remember the guy who you're going against, but I want to say it was about a month and a half straight, you were teaching us the sequence, or your favorite sequence, I would say at the time, to how you set up the Darce. And it, I'm ashamed now. I don't remember it exactly, but I remember there was a gator roll in it.
Okay.
And then you were really working the details on really cinching up the Darce, like where it's just nasty. From
the bottom or from the top?
It wasn't the Mars. So
okay.
It was when you get head and arm control, how you snap him down, and then you roll him, and then when you roll him, how you catch the leg with your leg, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then you talked about how you crawl up to the shoulder blade with your left hand or your right hand, whatever's not underneath the neck, and just how you finish the Darce. And it was I'm butchering these details, I'm sure, but it was so nasty that I remember there was probably like 10 of us there, in support of you, like that all go to your Friday night class.
Oh, that was an XFO you're talking about.
Oh, XFO. Yeah, that's what it is. Sorry, it wasn't a fight to win.
Yeah, no.
So it was XFO.
It was XFO. It was a pro grappling match. It was good. It was a good match. That was actually a rematch. I had gone against Artie in the past, and I went against him at Fight to Win. Had a pretty bad showing. Like, it was outside. The mats were slippery. I mean, I couldn't make all the excuses in the world, but you know what? Like, your first professional jiu-jitsu match, like where they're paying you and like everybody came out to watch you, like, it's not like a team sport. Jiu-jitsu is very, very lonely up there, and that's the hardest thing is like, and same with MMA, same with any sort of individual sport. There's no one else that's gonna bail you out. It's you and the other person, and like it is the most sobering feeling ever, humbling, however you want to call it. It is definitely it's an experience that everybody should have at least once, where all eyes are on you and you have to perform, or if you don't, you're going to get embarrassed. So
I want to get into that in just a second. Like, I want to talk the walkout music, the whole 9 yards on that. But to finish this story really quickly, so John's going back and forth with this guy, and we're all kind of wondering, we're like, why doesn't John just school this guy? Because the match went probably 6 minutes. And And then all of a sudden you just look like, all right, I'm done playing with you. And then you put that sequence that you've been teaching us for a month and a half solid. And we just all exploded in like support of you because you were like, oh my God, like he's not, he's been teaching us real things that really work, which we knew you were, but it's exciting to see when you put it together like that. So when you Darce that guy, I just felt like after that I could Darce the world. And trust me, I have been Darcing everybody in the gym that gets in positions like that with me, especially the Mars. You taught me the Mars. And
it's a sneaky one that a lot of people don't see coming.
No, they don't. And see, and that was the thing is like when I left 10th Planet for a hot minute is a lot of people don't know that Darce game that we all, been working and stuff like that. So I was kind of like, I was kind of the bad boy on the block for a second, but then after a while, everybody catches on to you.
Yeah. I mean, it's a easy choke to defend, which is what makes it so special to me, is that like, if you're good at your defense, you should be able to defend that. But like, if you A, have no idea, or B, your defense isn't very good, or C, my attack is better than your defense, then it's game over, and it's a different story. It's just a different world if you're not there. It's the same as like leg locks and stuff like that. I'll come on the podcast and say I'm not a leg lock master. I've got adequate defense, but like I'm not some god. I don't claim to be. I don't want to be. I even say like, hey, listen, like you got to have an attack or two, but like this isn't my game. I'm not neglecting it, but it's just not my game.
Yeah. I remember like even when I would roll with you is that here I am a white belt learning all these sweet leg locks from Javi, right? And I'm just looking at you and I'm like, the only thing I can do to you is try to leg lock you. And before combat jiu-jitsu became a thing, you would just kind of like slap me like lightly and just be like, get out of here with that. And I couldn't leg lock you if I wanted to. You just yank that thing back. It's like, nope, this is mine. You can't have it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely a big it's a big hurdle. Leg locks are what some people say the great equalizer is. You could take a small guy with unbelievable leg game and they can wrap themselves around you, and it's like really, really, really difficult to get out of, and especially guys who are longer or more limber than myself, which is
like Dan Conway.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. I know
yeah,
about those kind of body types.
The long limbs, like they present a big challenge. And those are probably my least favorite people to go against. Like people are like, oh well, what do you prefer to do? Like your weight class, or do you prefer open class? Like what do you prefer? I'm like, personally, I'd rather go up against another giant because A, he's probably not going to move as fast as I am. B, it's an even match technically. C, I know what they're bringing to the table. It's mostly a strength-based game, a very strong game where you deal with a guy who's really long and lean. They've got great guard recovery, and like maybe you rely a little bit more on strength in certain areas where that doesn't matter because they're Gumby, or you go against a little fast guy, like you've got to be careful about getting your back taken. So those are the dangerous ones, and like everybody's like, well, you're going against a guy who's 360 pounds or 400 pounds or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Like weight is weight, but like if you can move it and you can move it well, you're going to give anybody a hard time. You could be 142 pounds and just, lightning. They're going to give me a hard time.
Yeah.
You could be really long and 175 pounds, but 6'4" with long limbs. Like, I'm going to have a tough time passing your guard. So, like, those are, like, the matchups that you don't like. And, like, they say styles make matchups, but that is one that, those are ones I don't say I'm going to stay away from, but they're not the one that I want in the bracket. Like, if I see it in a bracket, I'm like, I don't want the guy who's 6'4", 185 pounds long and lean. I don't want the guy who's 5'2", 135 pounds.
So I was going to say, like, even watching you roll with Hav, who teaches all the leg locks and things like that, he competes at 145, and, man, he is lightning fast. And I like watching him roll with you.
He gets the better of me a lot. I don't, it's hard for me to put him in danger. And he's so quick, so explosive, so skilled that, like, what am I supposed to do? I can try to hold him down, and, like, but that's boring. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I try not to play that, like, boring ass style. Like, it's so boring. Like,
see, that's the thing about you and Matt that I like. I mean, at least in the gym, that I absolutely love is until I watched competition jiu-jitsu, I didn't understand what boring jiu-jitsu kind of could be. And because, like, even in the gym and, like, just rolls for practice, rolls to get better, rolls for fun, like, we play for keeps.
Oh, absolutely. If you're not playing for keeps, I don't know what you're doing. I mean, it's one thing in a humongous like tournament setting where like there's one thing in ADCC, like, you know, you're gonna hold to get your points and wins because you're gonna win XYZ amount of money. But like, dude, in the gym, like if you're holding somebody so you don't get submitted, like, I don't know if that's the best thing for your jiu-jitsu. It's not helping you. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So it's in fact like, I mean, yeah, sure, you're getting better at control, but like you're so big that like, you know, what do you need to control somebody for, you know?
Yeah. Well, see, you taught me that too. You're like, you know, you can be a big guy and you can still have finesse and technique. And so I was like, you know, going through the, you know, in the white belt process of it, you're like, okay, like I get it. But then as you get closer to 2 years in, it really starts to make more sense. And then not only do you understand your body better, you understand other people's bodies a little bit by what they're doing. And, you know, where I am still, by no means do I fully understand, or am I even close to understanding jiu-jitsu totally. But I feel like
me either.
Well, and see, so John's a purple belt, everybody, under Josh Pacini, and John is an absolute killer. And the cool thing is that I've learned like through Josh, and I was talking about, so when I had Kyle on, like when I don't know if you listened to that podcast or not.
I didn't get a chance to. Sorry, Kyle.
So when I asked Kyle, because like I was like, hey, I want to start doing guests on this thing, and so I hit up Kyle because, you know, he's my boy, he's my best friend.
Yeah, of course.
And I cheated a little bit, and I had to have him on. But the cool thing about it is he was still a white belt that week when I was like, hey, buddy, I was like, come on, and like, let's give the world a conversation that you and I always have. And of course, you know, he's down for it. And I think it was either the next day or the following day after we had that conversation about coming on this podcast, he gets his blue belt.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I remember that day.
So then that following Sunday, he comes over, we have the podcast, and all I can sit here and think about, like, my first question just totally changed from what it was going to be. And I was like, dude, just like, tell me, like, how sweet does it feel? Because I'm the one who got him into jiu-jitsu, and the guy's fallen absolutely in love with it. And he's been, you know, manic crazy about showing up every day, every week, and just training his butt off and trying to get better. And he's never been a sports guy, where we're about to get into it with you, like, you know, playing hockey and like what other sports, but like jiu-jitsu had consumed his life. It changed his life. And when you ask him, and you know, that hot topic right now, like, are you living your best life? Like, he would tell you yes. I mean, like, you know, that's the hot thing right now.
It's true.
So like, I got 1,000 questions for you, but I want to start with one. I want to go back because I want to talk about the fight to win and all that jiu-jitsu competition stuff, like having intro music, because I'm somebody who's grew up in the WWE, or, you know, back when it was WWF era,
of course,
and I've always wanted walkout music, but I've never done any competition like on a big scale to have walkout music. Like, start there and tell me, like, what's it like, the jitters, everything, the walkout music, walking out and competing, even just on a big stage like Fight to Win or anything else.
I mean, this is like a thing only like close people know, so it's gonna be good for me to say it out loud. But man, I'm an absolute nervous wreck when it comes down to getting out there to compete. I'm you know, stepping out on the mat by yourself is so lonely. You know, you look out in the crowd, you hope you see a friendly face, you hope you see like your mom, or, you know, your dad, or like even one of your teammates. Like, you're hoping for somebody. You're hoping somebody catches your familiar eye. Yeah, you're hoping that there's something that is gonna bring you back down, because it's crazy. You know, I listen to Matt's podcast, and I know I've had this conversation with him, but like, it's easy to get lost in the lights, you know, and like, he's doing it in like a huge stage in Bellator. Like,
you're not far off.
No, sir, that is absolutely ridiculous. But like, the crowds in Bellator, you know, Fedor's fighting, and like, dude, it's nuts. It's nuts. So your name's up in lights, tracing around the building. Like, I can only imagine how, like, what he's dealing with there, because I know that I'm an absolute nervous wreck, and I'm not even getting punched in the face in jiu-jitsu. It's just wrestling another dude, you know?
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is trying to manage it all. You know, there are some guys who are very, very, like, super relaxed, super chill. There's other guys who are screaming, getting themselves hyped up. For me, what I do is I warm up about three or four times. You know, so I'll warm up once. I'll be nice and calm. I'll be listening to something like mellow, just chilling.
Some marshmallow?
Oh, I mean, I will listen to Marshmello.
Oh,
yeah, for sure. But
no,
just like chill stuff. But yeah, Marshmello is definitely on my list. Of like
that's on my run list. I was like, no way that's on your pregame list.
No, it's on my like chill, stretch, loosen up list. You know, and then it starts kicking. You get some heavier metal in there, and then you get it going. But the hardest part is managing it all and managing. You know, for me, there's no real weight cut in Fight to Win, which is good because the weight class is like 210 and above. So there's no real weight cut for me there, which is awesome. I love it. But, you know, the other thing, though, is that there's so much going on. You know, it doesn't get talked about, but, like, you're basically promoting yourself. You're selling tickets. You have to manage this money. You know, you've got to make sure, find your own sponsors. You got to make sure that, you know, your stuff's taken care of, whether it's bills, family, girlfriend, whatever it is. You know, you got to make sure all of that's taken care of. You have to have, like, real conversations with all the people that you love and explain to them, like, look, I've got to put in the next 50 days of my life as hard as I can at the gym. I need to try to be there 4 to 5 times a week, you know, and it's obviously not always you're not always capable of doing that, you know, if you have a regular job or whatever, but, like, it's tough, you know, there's a lot to balance, there's a lot to manage, but it's not I'm not pumped to win. I'm relieved.
So when you have those jitters, like in all that set, like you've hit your sponsors, the music comes on, like how are you walking out? How are you feeling then?
Oh, I'm walking.
There's so much that goes into it.
I'm walking as fast as I fucking can from backstage to the mat because I just want to get this over. I want to get this over with. Like, you know, I'm looking across from somebody who's trying to take my head off. You know, and we'll get into it in a little bit about hockey, but like, it's different, man. It's different being out there by yourself. It's different not having guys to lean on. It's different, you know. There's a point where it's like, are you going to break? You know, and that's... Is
that a question that goes through your head?
No, it's never... Well, I mean, everything goes through your head. You know, you play the scenarios of where you could see this happening. You play the scenarios of this guy's just unbelievable. He's outclassed you tenfold. You know, you've played that scenario in your head. You've outclassed him tenfold. And, like, those are two polar extremes, but you play out he gets the edge here, you get the edge here. You know, you've played all the scenarios in your mind at that point in time. You've probably thought about this match going forward at least once a day. You know, if it's not consuming your life,
I feel like it would consume my life.
Oh, yeah. If it's not consuming your life, you're not in it.
But see, Matt talked about flipping a switch, like where he's just, like, you know, and he talked about even getting thrown off a little bit when he didn't hear his music. But like when you do you hit that flip a switch where it's like it's go time?
Yeah, it's go time happens about 10 minutes out. You know, it's somewhere, you know, usually Matt's in my corner and Josh is in my corner. But it's sometime around the time Matt tells me, like, hey, you're on deck or you're getting up here. And, you know, the music changes. The tempo of everything changes. It goes from a faster paced warm-up to walking around and pacing. Kind of like, you know.
Just staying loose?
It's weird. It's like you're prowling. It's like you're walking around the mat, you know, because they separate you. You're not sitting next to the guy, but like you're walking around the mat, and like I can see him walking around, but like there's a curtain stopping us, but I can see your silhouette moving, so I'm moving too. You know, it's like a weird dance before the dance. So like it's very, very, it's very different. You know, I'm just super. I'm super nervous every time I get out there, and that's like for me the biggest thing. And like I just. I try to push the pace, and I try to do everything that I can to make sure that that I'm prepared prior to it. But you know, once it's time to go, it's time to go.
Oh, awesome! All right, guys, hang on. We're gonna have to take a quick second. All right, guys, and we're back. And so we just dealt with an emergency situation. We're not going to get into the details yet, but John and I both promise you right now that's going to make for a podcasting story for the ages.
Yeah.
And so where I left off is not going to make any sense to how this continues. So hopefully I edit it to where it makes sense in what just, you know,
and even if it doesn't, you know, we'll talk about it later, but
it doesn't. So I think we left off where you were talking about when you get on the mat and you see that guy, it's just you and him, and we're talking about the feelings of it. So
yeah, we were talking about the pre-match, like right before the match starts, like 10 minutes before. There's this, like, you know, I was talking about prowling. it's animalistic, man. It's and like I hate using it like lions fighting, because like, dude, it's not a fight. Like, people are like, oh, it's a fight, you know. I guess in the purest sense of it, it is a fight because it's a struggle between two people. But I don't consider jiu-jitsu fighting. I consider jiu-jitsu grappling, and it's a competition. But either way, there's still this animalistic, this primal thing that goes on before, where, you know, you're trying to stalk your prey. You're trying to watch them. Yeah,
that's the switch that flips.
It's a moment where you go from, you know, a normal human being, you know, able to converse to
I'm the alpha. Like, that's how I look at it.
Yeah, I'm the alpha, or I'm just, you just try to get in your own head and psych yourself up, and just, like, for me, it's not angry. It's never angry when I fight or, you know, do jiu-jitsu or anything. It's always try to be as calm and collected as possible, but it's a very elevated state, you know. Yeah. It's, your senses are heightened. You feel more, you know, you feel, for me, like, I get a tingly feeling in my, like, my extremities and my fingers and my hands. It's probably just because I have high blood pressure, some shit like that, you know.
But high blood pressure's getting to you.
Yeah, you know, your hypertension's acting up. But, like, no, it's weird because you step out there and you don't even hear your walkout music, you know.
You just kind of black out a little bit.
I mean, you hear it, like, you know it's going, and, like, it's what you've imagined. It's what you've envisioned. It's what you've thought about. And, like, you know, if you don't have that situation happen where, like, you've played this out in your mind, I can only imagine how much of, like, a culture shock that would be, how crazy it would be. You step out there, you're like, oh my God, what's going on? But, like, you've thought about this before, and, you know, there are guys who have never done anything like that. And, you know, fortunately, playing hockey, like, you know, there's pregame, you know, the pre-lineup, you know, they announce your name, you skate out to the blue line, you stop. You know, I didn't start a lot, but when I did, usually there was some fighting involved right after the first puck drop. But still, it was it's different.
Well, see, that's what I want to talk about, like, team sports. Like, I played college baseball and this and that, like, but I always knew that I had that team to rely on, to you know, if I wasn't being 100% the person I should be, that I knew that they would be there to back me up. So Absolutely. When you're in these one-on-one sports and you see that it's just you, like, and when Matt talked about flipping the switch, and, you know, like, I've been on the mats and stuff too, practicing, and I've had my days where I feel like I kind of, you know, flip the switch a little bit. And I think I got it from Javi, honestly, because there's sometimes when you look in his eyes, he's not the same guy who's teaching class. Sometimes not. He's an absolute animal. And I think I've kind of taken that on in my own ways, like, even like running or something, or, you know, lifting weights. When I do something absolutely crazy, like, I kind of feel like that switch flip, but nothing compared to going one-on-one combat. But I always think about what Kat Zingano said when, you know, she thinks about, like, being out in the woods and is, you know, one-on-one, like, who's getting the bone. Yeah. Like, is that what it's, is that what, like, the roots of it? Like, when you think about it, it's like, you know, one of us is going to sleep in jiu-jitsu. It's going to either be you or me, and it's not going to be me.
You know, I hate just, like, name dropping people. You just name drop Kat Zingano, but I hate to name drop, you know, I think it's CT Fletcher, where he goes, which one of you motherfuckers is coming in second? Like, he gets himself so hyped up where he's like, you know, which one, like, he's yelling that, you know, pre-weightlifting match. And, like, yeah, sure, is that alpha? Is that trying to psych people up? Sure. But, like, that's literally what it is. It's, in the purest sense, you don't want to be the one on bottom losing. You don't want to be the one who doesn't come out on top or whatever it is. You just want to win, you know, and at that point in time, that's all I'm concerned about is winning. It's not, it's nothing more. It's not, at that point in time, it doesn't become about jiu-jitsu anymore. It becomes about winning. Right. And how do you win? For me, I want to try to win as dynamically, as awesome as possible. You know, nobody wants to put on a bad match, you know, because you have fans, family, friends, girlfriends, sisters, everybody. You have them all out in the crowd, and you want to impress them, you know, because you may have somebody who's never seen jiu-jitsu before. How do you get somebody who's never seen jiu-jitsu before interested in doing jiu-jitsu? You got to do something dope.
You got to put on a good show.
Somebody has to do something awesome in that show if you don't. You know, but you want to be that guy. I
have a comparable for this, for jiu-jitsu, fighting, and everything. And, you know, maybe it's my television background, my movie background here, but Gladiator.
Absolutely.
You know, so when Russell Crowe's character, he has to win his freedom. Like he has to put on a show, like whether he means to or not.
Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained?
Yeah,
and like every time, so like when I think about that, so like I put those pieces together, you know, like flipping the switch, going to that different survival instinct of a person, and then, you know, thinking about what Kat Zingano said of like, you know, who's going to get the bone when it's, you know, you or me out there, like I'm not going to starve kind of thing. And then I also add that other element of like, are you not entertained? Like I'm, you know, like I think of it as like I have to be there to entertain you because one, you want to see a show, and two, if I don't entertain you, then I'm not going to have very many opportunities to do this.
Yeah, what's my longevity? What am I worth? You know, if you're not an entertaining guy, like, it's hard to find matches. You know, you look at guys, like the best guys in the world, you know, some of them are just miserable to watch. And, like, they may be wonderful teachers, or they may be excellent in their craft, and their jiu-jitsu's top-notch, and at the highest levels, it's really hard to get anything on anybody. But there's a level of excitement you can bring to. There's a level of pace. There's a level of everything. And, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be you submitted somebody super fancy and it got crazy. It could just be you put on breakneck pace. You're just a cardio guy. You know, they used to talk about Cain Velasquez in the heavyweight division. And
cardio.
He finished guys, but he was just cardio Cain. You know, he was just way better than everybody else and way more in shape. I think his age and the division caught up to him, you know, and his body started failing. I mean, you wrestle for as long as you did and fight as long as he has. Like, it's tough, but like he was a guy that always put the pace on guys. Junior Dos Santos is the same way. Guys will do that, but like I don't want to watch Brock Lesnar fight.
Right.
I don't want to watch that shit. I mean, sure, he's got a great double leg and he just lays on people and pounds you out, but like, dude, if I wanted to watch, you know, somebody lay on another person and just like kind of like move around a little bit, I'd go on Pornhub and watch like, you know, the fat people section, like myself.
Hey, I mean, don't fat shame yourself, but like that, see, I want to say, like, you know, Brock Lesnar, what he brings to the table is 3/4 of the people get to see the entertainment value.
Absolutely.
That the quarter of the MMA people don't get to see. But I want to talk to you, like, because you do coach. You were one of my coaches, like I was saying earlier. Like, and we're talking about flipping that switch. Like, you have to go from being that like normal everyday person to being that coach to being that person who flips a switch and in competition and has to do something that entertains people, that makes you happy, but there's also that survival instinct. There's so much that goes into it. I kind of want to talk about like the aspect of it of, okay, you're not in competition right now. Maybe you're just coaching and stuff like that. Do you feel like the weight of that, like the weight of the world is what I want to call it? Do you feel like that weighs on you at times?
You know, I think the competing weighs on you entirely because people look at you. You know, I'm not saying people look up to me like they look up to Josh. You know, I look up to Josh. Everybody looks up to Josh. You know, but like, I'm sure there are people that look up to me and you know, want to see me do well. I think everybody wants to see me do well. And yeah, sure, does that weigh on you? But at the end of the day, I would never put that pressure on somebody else. And I think pressure is something that you as a human being manufacture. It's not actually really there, you know.
It's all mental.
Most of it's mental. I think that, yeah, there's pressure to perform in the workplace. Yeah, there's pressure in life. Yeah, there's pressure to pay your bills. But like, could you take an extra job and work extra hours to make that money that you need to make sure you make ends meet? Sure, I'm sure you could. Would it kill you? Absolutely. Would it kill your daily life? Would it kill your family life? It might. But you could address that one scenario to take that pressure off you. It might add other pressures, but you could hypothetically relieve the pressure in that area, you know. And I think that's something that as humans we don't talk about, you know. And I think as men we don't talk about, you know.
I agree.
We sit there and, you know, we grow up in this you gotta be macho, you gotta, you know, never let them see you hurt and never let them see you, you know, never let them see you weak, because that's the alpha mentality. Because if you see a weak wolf, you see a wounded animal, you're gonna go after it because it's easy kill.
Yeah, easy prey.
So like, if we're talking animal kingdom style stuff, like, yeah, that's it. But I think at the same time, pressure from, I think the teammates that we have are really good, and I think everybody's super supportive, and they just want to see you have fun, and they just want to see you succeed. I don't think anybody's putting any pressure on anybody. I think the pressure that I feel the most is on my family when they come, you know, because I know that they're nervous for me, and I don't want that, you know, and like, I would rather them be confident in my success and just be pumping my tires. But, you know, my dad's been there for when I used to fight in hockey. My mom's been there too, and like, They know the drill. Like, the shitty part about fighting and the shitty part about any time that you're doing anything in a competition setting is, you know, there's a winner and a loser, and you will lose. It's just a matter of when's your number called. You know, right. It's basically you're sitting at the deli line, tickets in a basket. It's like a raffle. You're shaking the basket around. Next thing you know, your number gets pulled, and boom, you lost that one, or boom, you got choked out, or boom, you got tapped nasty, or something. So like that is something that's a very real thing. It's when's your number going to be called? Can you limit the amount of times your number is called? Absolutely, by working hard, by being in the gym, busting your ass, by doing everything that you got to do. But I think the one thing is that in order to make peace with that, you've got to really you've got to think about the absolute worst thing that could happen to you.
Yeah.
And what's the worst thing that could happen to you when you step on the stage? In jiu-jitsu,
you go to sleep.
I could get choked out. More than likely, the ref's going to step in. I could get my arm broken. I think the worst thing that could happen is you get slammed on your fucking head and, you know, you get paralyzed. I think that's probably the worst thing that could happen to you in reality. But I don't see people like... I don't know anybody that's holding chokes for so long you're going to die in a jiu-jitsu tournament. I don't know anybody that's, you know, breaking your bones so bad that you're not going to ever be able to use it again. Like, and those are all things that you as a person can make the choice whether you're going to tap or not.
Well, see, okay, that leads me to two questions too. One, before you walk out to that mat, is that ever a question that comes in your head, like, have I trained enough? Have I done what I'm supposed to do to be on this stage right now? And two, hang on before you answer that one. And two, when you're out there, like, do I tap if I'm in something deep? Like, does that, like, it doesn't have to cross your mind beforehand, but like during, like if you're in something deep, or do you just like, no, you're going to have to put me out for me to go, for this to be over?
I think in a competition standpoint where it's, you know, it's a super fight match or something like that, or even a tournament, you've got to really think about it. And that's something strategically you've thought about before. You know, I'm not thinking about it pre-match. I'm not thinking about it during the match. Like, this is something I've thought about weeks before, and I just kind of leave there in the back burner. You know, for the most part, if somebody's got me in a choke, they're going to have to squeeze my neck and try to put me out at this point in time in my career.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody's got me deep in a Kimura or an armbar, I'm probably going to tap. If somebody's got me nasty heel hook, I'm probably going to have to tap. Because
that's how I always felt. Like, if it's chokes, like, put me to sleep.
Yeah.
If it's my arms and I have to go to work on Monday, like, I'm going to tap.
I will say this, though. If I'm sitting here and I'm in, you know, EBI or ADCC and I'm in the finals, I'm not going to tap, because me tapping could be the difference between me giving up $50,000 or edging out a decision win with a broken arm for $50,000. Is my arm worth $50,000 is the question.
Well, see, that's what I was going to ask you. Does the stage determine?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That makes
and I think
a lot of sense.
I think a lot of grapplers and a lot of people would feel that. I don't think Matt, you know, as a Bellator fighter, is going to let his arm break in a local pro MMA show. But, you know, if he's in the UFC, like, he's going to go for broke. He's going to go for broke. And I would be, you know, hard pressed to see anybody in a situation like that, like, really, truly, like not tap. You know, it's hard to say. You know, everybody in the moment will say, no, I'm tough, I'm not going to tap. But then when it comes down to it, you're the one, you like tap on the mat, because that's second nature to you, because you do it in the gym, you know, 20, 30 times a night, depending on how many times you roll and who you roll with.
Right.
You know, I mean, if I'm getting my shit beat in by Matt, I'm getting my shit beat in by Josh, Javi puts it on me. You know, there's a ton of guys who, you know, put me through my paces, and you tap, you know, and that's the best part about jiu-jitsu is you tap, you say tap, whatever it is, you restart again, and nothing happens. You know, everybody's keeping each other safe in the gym, and that's what's interesting about competition, is that they're not there to keep you safe. It's your job to keep you safe.
See, like, I even want to talk about that gym aspect too, is because, like, when I walked into the gym for the very first time, and, you know, I met Josh, I met you, I met Hav, I met Matt, you know, like, all these people I've named before, like, and I can keep going, Maurice, Butters, like, Juan, you know, these kind of guys that, like, when I walked in, I thought I was a tough guy. Like,
so did I when I started.
I had no idea that I was a soft person. And then, no, I mean, for real.
I agree.
And so, like, as I get going and, you know, a couple years in with you guys, I'm a lot tougher. I'm a lot tougher in every aspect of life. But, like, I don't feel like I'm an a-hole kind of tough. I feel like I'm a tougher, better person. And so like that's the thing about jiu-jitsu that nobody ever explains to you is like it helps you become this better person. And explain like from hockey to getting into jiu-jitsu to like your growth as a human being from jiu-jitsu. Explain that.
It's night and day. It's night and day.
So did you start with hockey? We'll start from the beginning here because I want to hear the roots.
When I was a kid, I'd always played hockey. You know, my mom put me in tennis. My mom put me in figure skating to start. And like, you know, the story about it is that I was figure skating. I kept hitting my head on the ice, and I came up to my mom crying at McFetridge Ice Arena over there right off Addison.
Yeah, I want to call timeout to the listeners. Good. Like, I'm going to post a picture with John. If you guys see John in this photo,
not a
like,
skater.
Look up on Head Kick Radio or look up John Mejia when I get him to drop his, Instagram and stuff. And think about him figure skating and then let him continue this story.
Yeah.
Because thinking of you figure skating right now, looking across this table at you,
I mean, granted,
puts a smile on my face.
Granted, figure skating was short-lived. It was like intro to skate, but it was figure skating-esque. But either way, you know, you crack your head a few times on the ice, you say fuck it. And my dad took me one day to see the Mighty Ducks as a little kid, and you know, I think it was D3, the Mighty Ducks came out in the movie theater, and like I was one of those kids who saw Mighty Ducks and I was like, Dad, they're skating, like this is cool, like I could do that. They have helmets on, like I'm not gonna hurt my head. Like,
oh no, you are younger than me because D1 and D2 was way better than D3.
Oh, absolutely, but D3 was in the movie theater. I was around for D2, but D2 was like, I wasn't watching the movie theaters yet. I was still too young to go see the movie theaters. But like I had already seen all of those going up to the D3, and I was like, oh shit, this is what I need to do.
But I realized when you said you saw D3 in the movies, I was like, oh, I was a little too old for my dad to take me to that.
But you know, you're only a couple of years older than me.
That's true.
But still, I mean,
if people saw us on the mat, they would not know that. They'd be like, oh, dude, this bald-headed dude's way younger than this cat who's
dude, look at him. He looks like a goddamn ape. Yeah, for sure. No, but I'm definitely super thankful I saw that movie because it's what pushed me to play hockey, and it's what gave me that inspiration. And, you know, my parents have always told me that I could, you know, they've always, since I was a little kid, they've always done everything for me. They always pushed me to be the best. They've always given me the best. They've always demanded the best. And, like, you know, my life growing up was very regimented. It was very, you know, rigorous. And I think that's what helped shape, you know, my core foundations. As I got older, you know, you play the game, and hockey players, I don't know if any of you have interacted with them. They're not always, you know, they're nice guys, but like they're not nice guys. Like they're like nice to talk to, but like they're just they're assholes.
Well, like are they like martial arts nice? Because you know when you train martial arts, you're like, okay, I realize there's people that can kick my butt.
Yeah, but
like, is hockey the same way?
No, hockey's a pissing contest. It's just a dick measuring contest, dude. There's no other way to describe it. It's who's louder than who. You know who. There are guys who are like just about the business, and those are like the best players in the world where they don't need to say anything. Their actions speak louder than their words, but most of them are just all mouth, you know. So it's just most of these guys have a mouthpiece on them. Most of these guys will carve you up 6 ways to Sunday with like just words, and you'll just feel really bad about it. And that's the hard part, is that a lot of these guys who played hockey they're not stupid. Like they're pretty smart, and like, you know, some of the shit that comes out of their mouths, you're like, holy fuck, how did you come up with that? And like that's for me that was my job as I grew up through the ranks. It was talking shit, it was agitating, and as I got older it was fighting. And you know, as a kid, my parents always pushed me and told me like, hey, you could be whatever you want to be. If you want to go play in the NHL, you want to go play pro hockey, go do it. You know, do everything you can to be there. And they gave me all the outlets, they gave me all the opportunities. And I think as a kid, you know, I kind of looked at them and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. This is crazy, you know? And you don't actually think about like, hey, if I would have stick handled a little bit more, if I would have shot pucks a little bit more, if I would have ran a couple extra miles, I might have been better.
Yeah, those basic details.
And that's something that, you know, you don't think about until it's all over, until the fat lady sings and you're sitting there in your room in the middle of the night fucking crying because you can't skate anymore, you can't play anymore. So
right. Well, hang on, before you keep going on that, like I want to expand upon that because some of the listeners I do know, like they're older too, like us, or you know, maybe even twice our age. Could be our parents' age that listen to
I have
this.
some respect. I'm not that old.
I know, but I'm saying
you're
like,
not that old either.
I have a couple of uncles who do jiu-jitsu, so if that puts it in perspective, and they listen to this, and like. So when you're talking about that, you know, here at a young age, that's what, you know, so you're not old.
No.
So, and I'm not old, even though I like to call myself old. But now that you know that with hockey, that you didn't pay attention to those fine details, Are you paying attention to those fine details when it comes to jiu-jitsu? Are you still letting them go by the wayside?
Well, I think the details, the devil's in the details in jiu-jitsu. Like if you're not doing the details, if you're not worried about the little things, you're gonna really struggle with everything. And I think that's really important to touch on. I think my mindset has definitely shifted. When I was playing hockey, less about nutrition, more about exercise, more about actual physical output, where now I think that, I'm less about, working away from the gym. Right now I've been off with an injury and I can't stand that. I'm itching to get back and everybody's talking shit like, you're so soft, like your knee's not that hurt. And I'm like, all right, I guess guys, like you're not the one who's got to wake up in the morning with it. But, you're sitting here like trying to think about what you could do better. And right now the things that I could do better are, working on my cardiovascular work away from the gym, B, working strength and conditioning as well. The things that I know how to do, but I absolutely just hate because of hockey, because that was what made me not want to play anymore. That was what turned something that I love so much into something that I started to hate and started to dread, because when you fight in hockey, you don't actually play. You play a couple minutes here and there. You get out there, you talk some shit, you mix it up, you sit in the box, you go sit back on the bench, you drink water, you hang out with the coach, and if you got to go do it again, you do it again. So you don't see a regular shift.
It's like wash, rinse, repeat.
Yeah, it's the same thing every time. You're lucky if you get out there a couple times. Like I would get out there for kind of a regular shift every now and again if the team was not good. But, like, if you're playing against good competition, like, you might not even be in the fucking game. You might be sitting in the stands just because they don't have a tough guy that's going to do something bad, So those are all things that, don't get said about that. And, like...
So strategy plays a lot of part of it.
Well, yeah, strategy plays a lot of part of it. And the other thing is, like, you're expendable. You know what I'm saying? You're a pawn in an army.
Yeah.
So, like, granted, you're the tank of the army, but, like... If they don't need tanks, they're not gonna bring the tank out. You know what I'm saying?
That's
if it's
true.
all sea and land, if it's all sea and air, like what the fuck do they need you for? So that's the one thing. And then like with fighting, you lose one, you're expendable. They'll find some kid from Saskatchewan who's 6'5", 235 pounds, just a raw farm boy.
Let's go back to that. Like, so like in jiu-jitsu, if you're going against a guy where you're like, oh, I can't be a tank against this guy, I need to be some land, some sea, some air, like, what do you do? Like, I mean, like you have to evolve your own game in that sense. But like, I want to get back to what you were touching on just a second ago of like, you're talking more nutrition too. Like besides like what's your workout routine for cardio, for jiu-jitsu off the mats? I'm not just purely doing jiu-jitsu, and what are you doing nutritionally? Because I mean, ever since I've known you, like Josh and Matt and everybody has been harping on you to cut some weight and this and that.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Like, so what's going on in your world right now?
So I mean, I'm the king of the yo-yo diet. I'll fluctuate weight. One year I'll be walking around at 325, and then the next year I'll be walking around at 265 or 255, and like that's not healthy, and I know that's not. But the problem is I get carried away and just, I like pizza just like everybody else. And like,
it's deep dish, it gets to you.
It's not even deep dish. Like if I'm going to give a shout out to somebody, my girlfriend's actually the one who showed me it. It's called Kalo's. It's over here.
I know Kalo's. Like,
yeah, it's down the block. Yeah.
The people I rent from, like that's our specialty.
Dude, oh my God. Their pizza, you get a little pepperoni, cheese, a little jalapeno, giardiniera or jalapeno, just depending on what they have. Sometimes it switches, but that's... you'd pull a bullet in somebody's head for it sometimes. I'm just kidding. But it's definitely, changed because she's...
Have you had their wings?
Oh, yeah, they're all right. They're okay.
Come on now.
Nah, they're all right.
Come on,
man. They're just okay. Like it's a restaurant with wings. I mean, of restaurants with, like, wings, they're pretty good.
Have you ever sat in there? Like, we're
it's fancy. It's fancy.
It's super fancy.
Dude, I went in there with a basket. I went in there in 10th Planet, like the jiu-jitsu grappling shorts. I've been in there. It's like all right, so let me describe this to the listeners. It's kind of a ritzy place when you sit down. Like, it's not like your average. It's like
it's a heavy four.
It's a semi-upscale.
It's a heavy four.
Yeah, it's a semi-upscale Italian place, but like they're not going to turn you away because they have a bar and stuff. So it's kind of like...
And they show sports.
Yeah. So like you're sitting there and I'm sitting there and like I think I was wearing like 10th Planet shorts because I like ripped my pants earlier that day or some bullshit. And then I like didn't have a change of pants or anything, so I was just there anyway. So, I'm wearing pants, my girlfriend's wearing a hoodie. Like, we just... look disheveled, and like there's people in like nice golf shirts and like shirt and tie, having wine table side, and I'm over here just maxing on pizza, looking like a piece of shit, you know. So I like to live dangerously like that. So
I'm gonna tell you my best Kalo's story.
Go for it.
Like we're giving some, I always say no.
You know what,
ads.
man? Kalo's deserves a free ad because I buy a lot of pizza. They should be giving me a fucking pizza or something.
Dude, they give you coupons every time you order stuff from them.
Oh, don't worry, I use them.
Oh, do you?
Go ahead.
So I want to, like, the first time I ever went to this place, I was with one of my exes and some of her family members. We went there and I had to catch a plane ride back to Oklahoma that day. And so, it's this heavy 4-star place, and I'm in these cargo shorts that had just recently gone out of style a few years ago.
Cargo shorts are still in style. Don't let anybody lie to you.
I'm rocking them tonight. Let's be real.
You are. Come on.
And so they went out of style. I'm wearing just this plain gray T-shirt with pit stains in them. I'm already looking out of place, right? Walk in there. We sit down. Everything on the menu is expensive. It's one of those times where you don't want to order anything because you know that the people that brought you are going to pay for it, and you wish you could just pay your own way.
Yeah.
And so I sit down. I know they're going to pay for it, so I just order. I remember this specifically. It was chicken Alfredo without. So it was just basically Alfredo. It was no chicken.
But wait,
I didn't want to spend the extra $2.
Wait. Hold on. We're gonna get into something here. Was it the egg noodle Alfredo or was it the spinach Alfredo?
It was the only time in my life I ever ordered the egg noodle Alfredo. I've gone spinach ever since.
But hold on, the spinach so Kalo's hack. If you get the spinach Alfredo, it's already pre-portioned, so like it's a smaller portion. But like if you order the egg noodle Alfredo, which is the regular white noodle. Dude, they just pack it in there. Like they pack it into that container, and you're like, yeah, this is the best $11 I ever spent. But you spend the $12 on the spinach Alfredo, you're like, what is this bullshit? You know?
So I ordered the egg noodle. No, it's you just justified it for me. So I ordered the egg noodle, and of course this is heavier Steven. So this Steven eats a lot more than he used to because this Steven now doesn't eat carbs. Everybody's heard about the diet.
He's the keto kid.
I'm the new keto kid, everybody. And I ordered the egg noodle. I eat it all. Bad news when you get on an airplane. John's losing over here. So bad news when you get on an airplane 2.5 hours later and it's just settling in. Turns out it was a hot plane ride. Turns out the airplane did not have any air conditioning whatsoever. Oh. I looked at the one stewardess and I was like, ma'am, can we get some air? And I'm fanning myself. And I knew it was hot because this old lady, 2 rows in front of me, she's dying too. And
so you judged her by her age, for sure, because she's an old lady.
Well, when the old people start sweating first, like, let's be real.
That's true. They don't perspire anymore, man.
No, and they're gangster. Like, they'll say whatever.
Yeah.
And so when she said whatever, I was like, all right, here I am in my youthful 20s, my mid-20s. I'm like, I'm dying too. But I know it's because I had and like, I get nervous during flights. I just don't like the flying feeling.
I don't like to fly either, man.
I don't like the falling feeling, but I'll do it all day long. And I asked the lady, I was like, can we turn on the air? And she was like, it's perfectly fine in here, sir.
Oh, she said that?
She was an older lady herself. I just looked at her. I go, yeah, but that lady is dying and I'm dying. And I was like, there's 40 years between us. I was like, I don't care that you're okay. I was like, this is not a good situation. So she totally ignores me. Yeah, I don't get mad. I just don't. And all of a sudden I was like, okay, I'm not going to get mad at this lady. I bring her back over. It's only the one and only time ever I've hit the emergency light button. I bring her back over. She's like, yes. Has this attitude. Man. She cops this attitude with me.
Yeah, but that's the best when the old people cop attitude with you, try to tell you that you're a young buck, but continue.
So I did, and I made the most direct eye contact in my life with a human being. And I said to her, ma'am, the front of my seat doesn't have a barf bag, and I'm going to need it. And she just looked at me and she goes, we're all out.
Oh, so.
And then I said, I'm going to need you to get out of my way as I go to the restroom. Right as I said that.
I'm dying over here. Continue.
Right as I said that, the fasten seatbelt sign.
Oh, my
God. The airplane pilot comes onto the thing and he goes, all right, everybody, we're going to ask you to remain seated. We're about 20 minutes from landing in Oklahoma City, and we're going to hit some turbulence, so please stay in your seat. Do not use the restroom unless it's in a complete emergency. Her and I, we never broke eye contact. And she just looks at me and she goes, Like, it blew my mind because this is something I would say. She goes, "You heard the man." I took a heavy pause and I said, "This is an emergency." I went to the bathroom and I knew full well I couldn't throw up in this bathroom. I just had to make a point to her. I was like, I'm going to stay in here. I looked at my watch for 2 minutes, 2 straight, like solid minutes, like on the dot. Like, I was like, I need her to think I'm throwing up in here. And so, but then I didn't know what to do because I was like, should I like bust a fart in here and like make it stinky? Because like, throw up stinks. Like, I had to have an alibi. Couldn't come up with anything. I sat there for 2 minutes. It was the most peaceful 2 minutes ever. I realized how ridiculous I was, but I was still feeling sick. Went back to my seat, held it in like a man, made it into the airport, walked, grabbed my bag, walked straight off the plane, and then I went straight to the bathroom, threw up everywhere, got in the truck, told my dad the story, and he just looked at me. He goes, "Pussy, you threw up?"
Yeah, but that's just dads, Like, dads are hard like that, man. Especially your dad is kind of like a tough dude. It sounds like from that conversation.
My dad is a tough dude.
Dad's a tough dude. So like my dad was a tough dude.
Your dad's a tough dude. I know your dad.
My dad's a tough dude. So like he talks, he talks a big game, but he'll back it up for sure. We've come to blows and it's been ugly but like he backs his shit up.
But that's when I realized I wasn't tougher than the stewardess. Like, that lady had it on lockdown.
Oh, dude, those ladies are just champions, man. They're the masters of their domain. And, and maybe it's just something that like maybe it's in the air. Maybe it's
all that recycled
air. You keep breathing.
But here's the thing. That was my Kalo story. Like, I never again will I eat before if I know I'm getting on an airplane. I fast.
Oh, yeah,
I don't eat anymore. Like, and Kalos run to me. Like, to tie it back into Kalos. No free ads, but Kalos, here's your best ad.
Yeah,
I threw up your pasta the very first time I ever had it, and I've had it. Well, not the egg noodle, but I've had the spinach noodle.
Yeah, for sure.
Many times since.
Yeah, everything is good there, man. I've never had anything bad. I just what can you say about your diet? Like, for me right now, my diet's better. It's cleaned up. Obviously, we had a little bit of liquid courage this evening, but nothing crazy.
But hey, it's all keto.
Yeah, it's all keto because it's clear.
Well, like, I'm gonna go ahead and say
it looks like water, kinda. Nah.
John brought something tonight with him as a podcast party present, and he brought something that reminds me of my childhood because where I grew up, like that show Moonshiners on History Channel, like, not only was that a real thing on that show, but it was a real thing in my life growing up.
Oh,
like, there's people making the shine all day.
I wish I knew somebody that was making the real shine.
Yeah,
but
the stuff that will run your car.
Yeah, the stuff that'll take the.
This might run your car too.
Take the stuff. They'll take the plaque out of your veins.
Off your teeth.
Oh shit!
Could you imagine?
Just brushing up with it.
That's wild, but
it's pretty strong, so we won't do that. But,
yeah, no, but like we'll shout out Kalos, but I want to get to the part where let's have a little fun here in the conversation because John, I'm going to have you back on again. We touched on some stuff. I got a weird editing thing that's going to not make any sense to the viewers here, so we had to explain something happened tonight, and it's going to be a good story for us to tell in the future because I'm definitely going to have you on again. But I want to get to a portion of the segment now where I ask for dating advice.
Oh,
because your boy is recently single.
Right on.
Maybe he just needs some dating advice because maybe it's him and it's not them.
Listen, sometimes it is you and sometimes it isn't you. You just have to know when it is and when it isn't, right? Because sometimes, as men, we kind of like, why would it be me? I think I'm perfect. And I think that doing jiu-jitsu puts a lot of that, like, you thinking you're perfect, you thinking you're the hot shit. It puts it into perspective and it humbles you and it brings you back down to earth. I don't know if you're a book guy, but, like, if you're, like, really trying to, like, figure out, like, what you're looking for in, like, a girl or, like, what you're looking to bring to the table or what they're looking from you, like, just read a book called The 5 Languages of Love. It's really interesting, because I know that myself, like, I'm a pretty warm person, but at the same time, I'm pretty fucking oblivious. Like, I'm in my own world most of the time, and, like, a lot of times, like, I'm not paying attention to, loved ones in general, or, being my girlfriend or whatever, even your friends. Like, these are all things that can apply to everything. Love isn't just romantic love. It's like, just love. Like, you love your homie, like, whatever, like you'd do anything for them. But like,
but sometimes the same love you have for a chick.
No, it's different because it's romantic love, because you're trying to like, do extra, some extra stuff,
some benefits,
some extra stuff. But like at the same time, the principle of love stays the same. It's mostly made up of how that person communicates it to you. Like, are you somebody who gives gifts? Are you somebody who does things for other people? Are you somebody who just gasses up women who you're like, oh my God, you're the most beautiful thing in the world? Are you someone who just needs like them to like combine, rub your shoulder, like, give your homie a high five or something affection,
like
that? Yeah, like what do you, what do you need and what do they need? And, can you speak to their needs versus speaking to your needs and vice versa? And like, it's an interesting read. It's definitely something that's changed my life for sure.
That's not the route I thought we would take. Like when I thought about this question, no.
But I mean, like, I'll give you some like homie advice if you want. Like, what do you want? Like, I was giving you real advice.
I know you were. So like that blows my mind, and I want to say kudos to you for that, because like I was sitting here, I was like, whenever I thought about this question earlier, and I was like, this is going to be totally ridiculous, but I have to ask it.
Oh, absolutely.
So when I asked you it, I thought you would just give me the straight up homie advice, but no, you recommended me a book, and normally I would ask people to recommend a book. So you've already done that, and I didn't even have to ask.
Well, I mean, that's for me. That's something that's like, played a huge role in my life as of recently, because it's made me more empathetic towards certain situations. Where I would be like, I don't get it. Like I like to think I'm in tune with everything that's going on, but to be honest, like I'm just most of the time in my own fucking world. And
it's
like,
just a learning process.
And it's that's the thing is like, are you willing to grow with that person? Is that somebody who's you're willing to give and dedicate yourself to? Because that's the hard part.
So that aspect of this is what I'm going to ask specifically in dating advice, because I just came off it was 6 weeks. I'll even go ahead and say that how long it was. That was the shortest relationship of my life.
Okay.
But I knew within that 6 weeks, like
that was not.
I was like, I love this person as a human, but I just don't love them romantically. And I was like, this is just not going to work out. But so in that knowing yourself, do you trust yourself to know within, like, let's just say, a couple month, 3 month period, like, is that good to say that this is going to work out, or is it not?
I think you're in a position where you'll if if you have like crazy feelings about people and they have similar feelings about you, then like I would say it would work. But even then, like, feelings are sometimes misdirected, and sometimes it's feelings like you're not actually sure. Like, you could be in a situation where I've done it, I've gotten out of a relationship, or or whatever, and the next thing you know, like you're hanging out with other girls and you're like, this isn't for me or whatever, and you're still kind of hung up on that person, and vice versa. Is that one really the one for me? And you really got to sit down and ink that out and figure out if they are, and if it's somebody that you're willing to rededicate your life to, or fix, or make adjustments if need be, because obviously something happened to where you were put off by it, or you decided to change your mind. And I think that's the biggest thing is like, where's your mindset in relationship to where their mindset is, right? And if you guys have similar ideology and similar like thoughts and thought patterns, you might not like the same shit, but like you may have the same core values, you may have the same understanding, you may have the same empathy for humans and everything else, and like that may be just enough. That may be everything you need to start a romantic relationship. But like, there's also the tendencies that like, I'd say by the time you're 23, 24, 25, you kind of know what you're looking for in a partner, and you try to meet that criteria. And if you can find somebody that meets most of the criteria that you're looking for, I would say run with it as long as you can, because what's the worst that happens? You find out that it doesn't work in the end, and at least you shared some unreal times. But like, I'd say, if in 6 weeks, better to cut it off than to let it linger and be something that turns into something nasty, because 6 weeks, unfortunately, isn't too long of a time. And like, yeah, feelings can develop and feelings can be strong, but like, it's not really like, you don't really have like an unreal bond that can't be fucking severed, So like, right. That for me, that's like that. But like, if you want some bro advice,
Yeah, so you gave me the deep advice. Give me some bro advice.
Yeah, if you want some bro advice, just don't. What
is John doing? If John was single,
if John was single John would not be hitting up bars trying to find women. It's not a good play.
It's definitely where I don't look.
It's not a good play, and I'll tell you why. Because most of the time when you're in bars, it's all about peacocking. And for me, I'm a really reserved person. I'm actually like super quiet, and like I'm sure you had to EQ the fucking mic so that I would talk louder and sound louder. But I'm not a loud person.
Yeah, you're gonna be louder on this audio than you are with me.
So for me, it's very interesting to understand the dynamic. I love to go out and have fun with my friends. Like I like to drink. I like to go out and have a good time. Like I'm not a fucking square.
Yeah, you're friends with Matt Paul.
Yeah, I mean, but Matt also has to drag me out of the house. Like, and he's got to like fucking shame me to leave. So like he's still on me about not taking him to Six Flags. So Matty P, we're going to Six Flags soon. I promise.
Matt, you heard that, bro.
All right.
Steven's coming.
But I would for sure.
I threw myself in there.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Why not? Right here, I'll just pick you up. We'll go pick up Matt. We'll just fucking run out.
We are neighbors now.
Yeah, I don't live far, but
you're my neighbor because I was here first.
Well, that's fine. But I think the thing is like I wouldn't go looking in bars for chicks. You know, nowadays it's so hard to have a conversation. Every bar is loud. You know, I think if you're looking for a girlfriend and you're looking to try and like have a relationship, you should probably try to find somebody at something like that you like to do.
Like Tinder or Bumble?
No, that's not for a relationship. Like is
that for hepatitis?
It's not for hepatitis, but you know, if you want to do that and you want to go that route, by all means, you might find somebody amazing. You know, I don't know. But you might also
stay away from bars, stay away from Tinder, stay away from Bumble.
Do what you want to do. I mean, rock with Tinder because you know what? Nowadays, that's like such a commonplace thing that it's not what it once was. Yeah. I think when Tinder first came out, it had a really bad stigma about it, about how, you know, it was a hookup app where like, sure, is it kind of that?
I'm pretty sure that's all it is.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, like it's so commonplace now that like every girl's pretty much on Tinder. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't really, and like maybe they're not looking for hookups, or maybe they are, and like you just happen to be the fucking one, or you happen to be unreal. So like, I think that's a really interesting thing too. Is like, I think right now the younger generation, you'd have to ask some people who are in the game right now.
But that's what I want to get to real quick because I do know I have a couple of younger listeners, you know, in their late teens, and they're full into jiu-jitsu. So they're building that jiu-jitsu confidence, and we know what that can do for the world.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, example here, I'm starting this podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Example, I decided to not be a dickhead anymore and be nice.
So now that you said that, you know, and you're in your mid-20s here, if you could go back and tell younger John some dating advice, like late high school, early college, what would you tell younger John?
I would tell younger John to, you know, just... To be honest, I don't regret anything in my love life. I don't regret anything in the past. Like I don't, you know, the only thing that I kind of regret is, you know, not, you know, if you're going to be with somebody, be full and be devoted to them, you know, not necessarily not like cheating or anything. I've never done that, but like, you know, be devoted to them, spend your time with them, let them know that like, you know, let them know they care, even when you don't, even if like you're upset with them, just remind them that they matter, because at the end of the day, like, the fights you have are going to be fucking irrelevant in 2 weeks and shit like that. Unless it's something serious, then the fight's not irrelevant. But
yeah,
you know,
if you're getting
but like it's
paid,
you know, but it's some bullshit. You know, just let it ride.
See, that's exactly what I would go back and tell my younger self, younger Steven. You know who?
For sure. I mean, I've definitely been hung up on bullshit before, like where I'm just like freaking out about nothing. When it's like, dude, like, take a deep breath, take a fucking lap, think about why you're upset. Think about what you did to cause this situation. If you didn't do anything and you really didn't do anything, think about what they did to cause the situation. And then reassess.
And then ask yourself, does it really matter?
And does it really matter? Is this something that's going to matter in a year? Is this something that's going to matter in a month? Is this something that's going to matter in a week?
That's a big thing I'm a big proponent on, is like, ask myself, is it going to matter in a month? Is it going to matter in a year? Is it going to matter in 3 years? And if I can answer no to all, like wherever I hit no, that's where I stop asking that question.
Absolutely.
So if I say, is it going to matter in a month? Then I'm like, no. But if it's something, you know, with work or whatever, a relationship, and you're like, okay, this thing came up, is it going to matter in a month? Most of the time the answer is yes. So then you ask yourself, well, is it going to matter in a year? And, you know, 90% of the time it dies right there. You're like, no, it's not going to matter in a year. No. And then if it does, if it's still a yes, and you're like, well, is it going to matter in 2 or 3 years? And then chances are that's not going to happen. Then you just realize, like, you're living every life and every bit of every moment in like this tense and anxious anxiety situation of like,
it.
you know, like, oh, I feel like it matters a lot, but does it not? And I bring it back to jiu-jitsu because when you have somebody, you know, one of your friends even choking you out, who's on your back, choking you out, and you realize like, if I don't make just the slightest gesture to show appreciation to them, which is tapping, that they're going to put me to sleep.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I'm going to tell you right now, like going to sleep, like even to one of your friends to give them that bragging rights, like,
that sucks.
That sucks because I mean, like, you know, like we all have a little bit of pride and ego, but I don't like, I would rather like the ex-girlfriend have more stuff on me than my buddy choking me out and having that over me until I can do it to him.
The problem is that like you don't even know what happened when you get choked out. Like you're just like, what happened? Like, so you don't know what you did. Did you shake a little bit? Did you like gasp for air? Did you, you know, get up and run down the fucking room because like you're just a guy? Did you cry? Like what happened? Are you crying now? Like, you know, so there's a lot of emotion in the sport. There's a lot of emotion in martial arts, and like it goes for all of them, but like in grappling especially, it's a real struggle, you know. And I know that, you know, when you go through camps, when your mind's not right, it's rough. You know, it's rough, and like you feel the weight of whatever's weighing you down. You feel it break you. You know, and you'll feel it fucking break you. You'll feel it snap your will, and it's just about your friends and your teammates and everybody else helping to pick you back up. You know, I've been through it, and it's brutal. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but like I'm talking to guys like, you know, guys who've been there before, and they've said the same thing. They're like, dude, like this happens, you know, this is life. You know? I mean,
so like, let's tie it all back in here. Do you think that jiu-jitsu and relationships are a lot of the same? Like, so let's say your buddy on the mat chokes you out, or, you know, like gets the best of you, you know, 10 out of 10 times. Like, is that the same as a relationship? You just got to keep remaining humble and just realize, you know, hey, like, I don't always have to be the lead. I don't always have to be in charge. I just have to keep improving.
Yeah. I've been telling myself every day, you know, 1% better every day. That's something that I stress with the kids that I coach in hockey. That's something that I stress with, you know, my life in general. I try to be 1% better every day. And it's not a lot. It doesn't take a lot. But like 1% could be, did I make the bed properly today instead of just throw the fucking covers over the front? Or did I put did I put water in the ice tray to make more water, you know? And like, I didn't mean that as a dig on you or anything like that.
That's totally me today.
But like, you know, did I help somebody today? Did I tell somebody who I don't have any vested interest with that they're doing a good job? Or did I, you know, have I made an impact in society? Did I make a little ripple? It's about throwing a fucking rock in the water. You see the ripple go because it's a chain reaction. You watch the ripples keep coming out. And that for me is more important than anything else. You know, just you make that little ripple sends a little wave somewhere else, and that wave sends another wave, and you just keep putting that out there.
See, I want to expand upon that because you're talking about just do the basics.
Absolutely.
And that's what they preach in jiu-jitsu. Like all your coaches, you're like, yeah, of course you love the rolling Kimura, the flying arm bars, this and that, all that flashy stuff. But if you don't learn the basics, then you're never going to be good at jiu-jitsu. And I want to point that out to life, just like you were just saying. If you don't do the little things in life, put ice in, you know, water in the ice trays to have ice. If you don't, you know, pick up the trash off the ground, if you don't clean your dishes and things like that, if you don't do the little things, then how are you going to do the big flashy things?
You won't be able to. And the thing is that even when you do the big flashy things, it doesn't mean fuck all, because you can't do the little things every day. You know, and that's, to me, that's something that like is really, really big, because like you could have, you know, there's a saying, the sun shines on the dog's ass at least once a day, right? So when you do something flashy, to me, that's flash in the pan. To me, that's you got lucky. To me, that's whatever. I can say all those things about you because, you know what? Unfortunately, you don't do the fucking little things right every day, you know, and when you do something great, it gets minimized. But if you're a good person and you do something right every single day, you know, or you do something to impact society every single day, you're going to sit here and be like, and when you do something fucking amazing, people are going to talk about you and say, dude, this guy is fucking unreal. He's a really nice person. He's a good person. He's got a great heart. His heart's in the right place. You know, and I wouldn't want anybody to ever say anything like that about me. Like, hey, his heart's not in the right place. He's a piece of shit. Like, that's the one thing I try to pride myself on, is not being a dickhead. You know, I used to be. When I played hockey, I didn't care about anybody else but myself. You know, and now going forward through doing jiu-jitsu, you know, the first time I ever got on the mat, Mike Pack, shout out Mikey. I it was the first class I ever took that wasn't a private lesson with my dad. Mike choked me, I don't know, 12 times. And he was a white belt still, and he just choked me. And Mike's not big, and like, no offense, Mikey, I love you, kid, but like, you're not yoked out of your mind. He's a regular dude. He looks like regular.
He's an average guy.
He's an average guy.
I love him too.
And he's an average guy, and with an above average heart. He's a really nice dude, but like, dude, he fucked me up so bad, and I was just like, oh my god. And like, that's that experience like you're looking for, and that's why you do jiu-jitsu. It is humbling, and like, I'm super excited to get back on the mats and train, because like, I know how my body's gonna feel, and like, that's the feeling that I miss. I miss that bruised, battered, like, roughed up feeling. I miss my face being raw, so when I take a shower it's fucking stinging. Like, I miss my ribs feeling busted up. And like, when you do it if you do jiu-jitsu a lot, like you do it every day for, you know, months, you don't feel those things anymore because you get hardened by it. But like, when you take some time off, when you take that time off, you feel it again, and it's like, it's exciting, you know. And for me, that's exciting. For some people, that turns them off and makes them scared because they don't want to do that. But like, that's what I can't wait for. I can't wait to not be able to walk in the morning. So like, that's what I'm waiting for.
I've been off the mats for a few months, and honestly, like, that's my only concern going back. Like, I have this herniated disc again in my back. I mean,
you've got a real serious injury, sir.
But like, call me weak here, call me soft, because I have this herniated disc in my back.
That's Matt's job.
That's definitely Matt's job.
That's Matt's job. I won't call you soft.
But like, I think about like all this back pain that I feel on a day-to-day basis, and I'm more concerned with, I've got to get these mat burns and these calluses back on my toes, like on top of my feet. Yeah. You know, those ones that you get on the, like, right by your big toe.
But like,
I'm like, I got to do this all over again.
So here's a question: would you rather get slapped in the face or punched in the face?
By who? Like,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. No, like, I'd rather be slapped. Yeah.
Would you? I would rather take a punch to the face, because that punch is deadening. It's a thud. It hurts, but it's like, it's not so bad. It's not so bad in the ground because it's deep. It's like a deeper pain where like the slap stings. I don't like the sting.
See,
so
the
like
sting doesn't bother me.
So like pre-match, Matt slaps me on the back, slaps me on the chest, slaps me in the head, and like, it hurts. It stings, and it makes me angry, and like, it gets me going, and like, you know, that's what gives me that little extra boost. But like, if he punched me, like, I might get knocked unconscious, but like, I think it would be more like, oh fuck, I got punched in the face.
I've been punched in the face probably more than a handful of times, and those are just the good ones I'm counting. I'm not even counting the ones that just didn't even faze me, and I'm like, oh dude, you're in trouble. I'm not even counting those. I'm talking about the ones that hit me, and I'm like,
oh shit.
And then you think about things. You're like, okay, do I proceed? Do I bow down? Like, what do I do?
But those are the good times.
I bowed down one time and I was 14. I'll never do it again.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, I think everybody does at least once in their like career, if you want to call it a career, when they're growing up.
A street fighting career.
I think men as people, like, you know, there's a saying, and like, people have said it. Like, I know my dad says it, but I'm sure everybody else says it. But like, I personally don't trust somebody who's never been punched in the face before, because like, you don't. I don't either. You don't know what you're made
unless
of.
Unless you're female, then I.
Well, yeah, that's different. But like, if you're a man, I don't trust you unless you've been stuck in the face a few times, because like, you know what that struggle is like. You know what that hurt is like. You know what's your response. You know, and there are guys who, like, you know what, even if your response is like, fuck it, run. Fine, at least you have a response, at least you've been there, you know, and maybe you're just not a fighter, you know. And there's other guys who, like, you know, they get punched in the face and they're running right back into the fight, you know, and they want it. When I was a little kid, I got into a fight after football with a quarterback. Like, quarterbacks aren't fighting. Like,
no, they don't fight. They're the softest guys on the field besides the punter.
Here's where it gets good. That was my first fight I've ever been in, and he fucking just... I punched him and he just fucking hauled off on me. He was like 13 or 14. I was like 12, but like, still, like, he hauled off on me, hit me a few times. He's like, what, you want some more? I was like, no, I'm good. And I just dipped. And I'm like, as a 12-year-old kid, I had to go back with my tail in between my legs and tell my dad that, like, I got into a fight. And he goes, well, did you win? And I go, no. He's like, well, what happened? And I go, well, we just kind of called it a day and shook hands. And I was like, but at the same time, it's like, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Like, my dad would kind of prepare me for my dad prepared me for like situations like that, but it was still like, you're never prepared for it until it happens. And then once it happens, you understand what goes on. But then there becomes a point where like, you just become desensitized to it. And like, I think I'm at a point where like, I don't even want to fight anymore. Like, I think that's jiu-jitsu. I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight on the street. I don't want to fight. I don't need to prove my dominance to you. I don't need to show my teeth, because you know what? If you want to find out, you'll find out. You know, and if you're gonna push buttons enough to find out, you'll find out. But I'm not gonna go looking for it. I don't need to. I don't feed off of it anymore. I used to. It used to get me fucking hype. But at the same time, like, the mindset of the people that I've surrounded myself with are not guys that need a boost. They're not guys who need me to fight, to give them a spark, to shake it up, to, you know, show them because, you know, they're either, you know, skill players or something like that. Like with hockey, like, you fight to give your team a spark. You fight to give, you know, a little bit of an edge, to let people know, like, hey, you're not going to keep taking advantage of our guys, stuff like that. Nowadays, you know, the guys that I surround myself, they're all martial artists, or, you know, they're what I would call tough guys. You know, not everybody's, I wouldn't say everybody's a fighter, but everybody's tough enough to where they could handle themselves most of the time in a situation if they needed to. And those are not the guys that need a spark. Those are the guys that need to be talked down sometimes. You know, those are the guys that need to be like, hey, listen, it's not that big of a deal. Like, don't worry about it. Like, let it go.
Yeah. Isn't that weird when you have to, like, when you're used to being the one who's the fighter and you have to all of a sudden talk your friends down?
It's crazy. It's crazy. But at the same time, there comes a point where you need to show the motherfucker that, like, listen, like, this is what you're handling. This is what you're about to embark on. So be careful. Tread lightly, because you don't know when I'm going to pop off either. And I think that's a good thing about martial arts, is it gives you that calm confidence in a situation that is chaos. You know, it gives you the ability to recognize and rationalize what the fuck is going on. Are you able to handle this? Are you able to, you know, are you able to figure out what the next step is? Is the next step for me to escalate and for me to go into this and let's get in one? Or is the next step for me to just be like, listen, buddy, like, it's your lucky day. I'm feeling like fucking Santa Claus. I'm going to let you get away with this one, you know?
Well,
but
see, at what point
in time is it about your manhood and your pride? At what point in time do you let your pride take over and you get that animal instinct again? So, like, that's this weird, you know, I don't want to say it's dichotomy because I don't think it is, but, like, it's this weird, you know, limbo situation that you're in. You're like, oh, well, is it worth doing this or is it not worth it? But, like, for me, I want to find the toughest guys in the world, you know, in jiu-jitsu, because those are guys who I would find as worthy opponents. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking for somebody who's worthy enough to finish me.
Right. Not the drunk guy in the bar talking
Not the drunk
smack.
guy in the bar who's talking shit. You know, obviously if somebody fucking disrespects your, you know, your girlfriend or something like that, you got to step in and you got to say something at the very least. And once you say something, you'll find out.
Once it doesn't involve you, it involves your loved ones. That's when I notice I say something.
You got to say something and you got to step in there and you got to do something about that. And, you know, if it, and most of the time when you step in and you say something, it ends because you say it and you mean it and you say it with conviction. There's no waver in your voice. You're fucking in one. You're at that point in time, if I have to escalate and say something to you because you're acting a fool or you're acting like a piece of shit, the next step is violence. I'm being polite and giving you the courtesy of understanding that you're about inches from getting fucked up, you know. And I hate saying that because, like, I'm not that person. I'm not a piece of shit. Like, I'm not like looking for one. But you have to understand that, like, the average person doesn't understand, like, mom and dad aren't gonna bail you out of the situation. Like you gotta watch your mouth, like, because, like, there are people who, like, and I'm like a normal person. There are people who, like, if you mouth off to, they're gonna put a gun to your head and shoot you. Like,
in today's day,
like, and, like, that's the thing is, like, that's also why I have a very, very high respect for people, because I don't know what you bring to the table. Do you have a knife? Do you have a gun? Like, sure, am I good at jiu-jitsu? Yeah, but I could still be stabbed.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Shot.
You can still be shot. You can still be killed. Things. You can still be sucker punched. You can still be kicked in the fucking head.
By people's buddies and all that.
Of course. So, like, there's a lot of risk. And I think you have a healthy respect for the risk that could happen when you do fight. And
because I would say because of jiu-jitsu, when you even recognize, like, somebody like, you know, shout out Hav again, like, who can 145 pounds, you know, us being larger men, like, he'll choke your life out of you. He'll choke the life out of you because he's that skilled, and you don't know how skilled the person is that you're going against. It's the old adage, like, when you see somebody, like, look at and see if they have cauliflower ears, and, like, do you want to mess with that person? You know, most likely not if you don't. But like, we're going long here. I definitely want to have you on multiple times. So I have to ask you one last question. Since I got the Squatch on, he's hasn't made a podcast appearance since his Grappler Union one. Shout out Grappler Union. Go check out their podcast. Check out his episode on that one as well. It's one of the early ones.
Yeah, I think it was 9 or something like that.
Yeah, like episode 9. They're on like 80 something now.
Yeah, they're doing well.
They're doing very well, and I want to have those guys on hopefully. So if they ever hear this, Paul, Zito, I'd love to have you guys on. But I want to know, Squatch, John Mejia, what are your plans for the future?
Right now, the plan is to get back on the mats next week. Obviously, I'm going to teach class on Friday, tomorrow. So for the listeners, they'll probably hear this on Monday or Tuesday or whatever.
Yeah, on Monday.
So I'll be teaching class on Friday at 10th Planet Chicago. But Monday, I'd like to get back into the mat, back on the saddle, start training, back to where it was 3 to 4 times a week and get ready to go. Fight to win. Obviously, the last time I talked with Seth Daniels was that they wanted to give me a title shot. I think they were wanting me to do it this August, but my knee's not ready to go, and that's the shitty part is, like, if I had been training through this knee injury, I would say, yeah, maybe I'll just push through it and say fuck it because it's a title shot, but I don't think it's the wisest thing to do, and I think the next time they come in October is when I'll be ready to rock for that one. I've just been taking care of myself and taking care of, like, my, like, not necessarily mental health, but, like, my overall well-being, making sure my diet is getting cleaned up, making sure I'm doing my intermittent fasting, making sure I'm eating cleaner, making sure I'm doing all the fucking things right that I need to be doing, starting a new job next week. So, like, there's a lot of good positive changes that have come, and, I'm super happy where I am right now. I for a long time I was dealing with, like, fucking just, going through the motions, just, like, 1 foot in, 1 foot out bullshit in all of my life. And, for the first time in a long time, I feel like I've, like, really thrown myself in the deep end of the pool and said, fuck it, we're just going to run with this. And let's just, if I fall on my fucking face, like, it is what it is, I've got a great support system with my parents and they'll help me back up. But, I think I'm going 2 feet in hard, I'm basically diving head first into goddamn uncharted waters. And it's scary. It's been a big change. I moved out. I was living with my parents for a little bit, so I moved out and I'm living with my girlfriend now, and it's wonderful, and I can't say enough good things about it. But at the same time, like, I need to get back to what makes me me, and that's doing jiu-jitsu. I was about to say,
so for your career, it's now or never kind of thing?
I'm not going to say it's now or never. For me, it's jiu-jitsu is forever.
Well, I mean, like, the overall aspect, but, like, I'm talking your prime of your career. Because you're a couple years younger than me, and I feel like I'm coming into my prime.
For me, I don't think I've hit the prime of my jiu-jitsu career yet. I think I've had some great highlights, and I think that, I think understanding where I am in my life is super important. I went through a prime of my hockey career, and, I think right now I'm not in my prime. I think that in a couple of years, if you ask me that question and I was like, well, what is it right now? I would say it's now or never. I think right now, the biggest thing I want to do is rededicate myself to learning a lot of the jiu-jitsu that I don't necessarily have an unbelievable grasp on. There's a ton of it, but, like, there's things in my game that I want to be able to have down pat. So if somebody asks me, like, hey, John, I want you to show me this, or hey, do you have any tips on this? I could give them tips on that. I want to be able to not have to refer them to somebody, but be able to show them what I do and then be able to refer them to that person who's a specialist, Right now I feel like uncomfortable in some of the questions that people ask me, and I want to be comfortable through those, and, like, that for me is hard because I don't want to skirt around anything. I don't want to be like, well, I just don't do that, like, because that in fact makes me feel worse than showing them some dog shit. I would rather show them my attempt at something or show them, like, hey, this is what I do. I really don't do it, but this is what I do, than rather be like, well, I just don't do it at all, so I'm just not going to fucking show you. So, that's something I'm trying to get away from. I'm really trying to, like, I'm trying to diversify my bonds.
Kudos to you for, like, even telling somebody, like, hey, like, I can't show you this to the best of the abilities. I can show you maybe one, like, way that
absolutely
probably doesn't work as much, but I can point you to the person who does. A lot of people won't do that. A lot of people are too egotistical or prideful that they won't even point you to the right person.
If it's one thing that I know, it's that I don't know everything about anything, and that's the thing is, like, there's always going to be somebody who knows more than you about jiu-jitsu. There's always going to be somebody who knows more than you about dieting. There's always going to be somebody who knows more than you about anything in this fucking world. And you know what? There may come a point in time where you are the pinnacle of whatever you are, where, nobody knows more than me about
one aspect.
But you know what? There's so many facets in that one aspect. There's no way you're a master of them all. It's impossible.
That's so true.
It's impossible.
That's why when I hear people say there's levels to this, they're not kidding. There's levels to
absolutely.
everything.
And like, I'm sure you know people that can run computer programs and editing softwares and all kinds of stuff who are fucking amazing at it. But you know what? They're good at that software. You know what I'm saying? They're good at that software. They're not good at everything else. And I don't necessarily want to be a jack of all trades, master of none, but I want to bring up my competency and everything else to where my teaching competency is good. And maybe it's not something I do in competition. Maybe it's not something that I do ever in my A game, but I want to be able to have it and show people like, hey guys, like this is what you got to fucking do. Like, go here. We're going to do this. We're going to do it this way. And if they're like, well, what about that adjustment? Well, I don't really know. I can ask somebody who really does know, or why don't you ask that man sitting at the edge of the map, because this is what he does to everybody. So like, thank you for coming to me, but that's the one you need to ask.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that's the biggest part about jiu-jitsu, is knowing that you don't know fucking shit, because there's a point in time where you do, and there's a point in time where you start to gain this confidence, and like, I can teach, and you see a lot of white belts and blue belts like gain confidence in like certain moves and they start teaching, but unfortunately, and I'm not making fun of blind people, but it's the blind leading the fucking blind.
Right.
And like, even at purple belt, sometimes like I'm unsure of something and like I really have to think about it. And if somebody brings up a question that I didn't think about, it's like, ooh, what the fuck? Ooh, let me ask Josh, or you know, let me ask somebody who knows, or like, hey Josh, what about this move? Can you tell me the details of that? And he's like, oh yeah, it's like this, or it's like that, and you're like, oh fuck, okay, I did know that.
See, that's why I like Josh, is he's like, well, okay,
he's so
I'm gonna
matter
tell
of fact, he's so like, he's so cut and dry about it, and it's so good though.
It's great, but like, even then, like, once you when he keeps expanding upon it, he's like, I'm just showing you maybe 1, 2, 3 ways. He's like, he goes, there's many ways to do this that I don't know, or I just don't practice, you know, to or feel confident enough to tell you. Like, he's honest about it, and that's what I've always liked about Josh. He's like, I'll show you what I do know.
And that to me is the mark of a good teacher. You know, it's somebody who's not afraid to say that they do something a certain way, but they understand there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat.
Yeah, and I like that saying.
And for me, that's what jiu-jitsu is there's a most effective way to do it. Then there's a most effective way for you to do it. And then there's a way you can do it. And then there's a wrong way you can do it. And the wrong way you can do it is when you're just fucking it up. But like, there's a way where you could do it, like, and it might be different from the way that I do it, or the way that Josh does it, or the way that everybody else does it. The most efficient way might be the way Jean-Jacques does it. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's true.
But you could also do other shit too. So that's the cool part about jiu-jitsu, and that's what I love about it the most, is that it's endless.
Awesome, buddy. All right, we're wrapping up now my longest podcast, and it's not even that long. It's almost an hour and a half, but if you guys are still hanging in here listening, I appreciate you all.
And if you're not, fuck you.
Damn, I love that, John. I love that. Just get straight to the point. Just be like, you know what? If you're not listening.
Yeah, if you're not listening, fuck you. Whatever. I'm just kidding.
But
I'm not.
This is such a great podcast. I hope everybody listened to it. You're a good dude. I hope they don't walk away at the end here thinking like, oh, this guy at the end, he just blew it. No, John's a great dude. He's just messing with you. He's having a little fun.
Oh man, I'm just kidding. It's the moonshine speaking, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's the shine. No, John's definitely gonna be back on. We're gonna everybody I brought on so far, like, I can have conversations for days with, and I definitely want to, and I definitely want John on again now that I know we're neighbors practically.
Yeah, whenever, just let me know.
John, blast out your social media that you're hardly ever on, but you keep up with.
I don't really get down on social media. I think it's ruining society, but
that's a topic we have to cover.
Yeah.
Next time.
Oh fuck, we didn't cover it.
We talked about this.
We talked about it before, but we didn't do it. Oh fuck. Social media wise, you can find me on Instagram at Missing Jibs, MissingJibbs.
Missing Jibs.
Missing Jibs. That was my nickname before Squatch.
I don't even want to know what that means. It sounds like you don't have any marbles.
It's like you don't have your teeth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so a bunch of my teeth are knocked out, so they're all fake.
Okay, don't save that story for the next
I'll save it, but yeah, it's Missing Jibs, so it's a play on words, like I'm missing my teeth. And then that's pretty much everything. Facebook, you can find me. I just want to give a quick shout out to my sponsors, Fight Chicks Jake and Fight Chicks, the company. Jake and Elizabeth are wonderful people. BJJTs, they always keep me swagged out with the latest and greatest in jiu-jitsu shirts. Hypnotic, they're my primary gear sponsor. Their shorts are probably one of my favorite, and the rash guards are really good too. They're gonna come out with some short sleeve stuff soon. I think they already have. That was a request from, I'm pretty sure Gordon Ryan made the request, but I'm pretty sure I made it first. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
But those are three of the big ones in Vape City, Chicago, for always helping me. And there's so many others that I miss, and I feel like a piece of shit right now. But like those are the ones that really.
I'm gonna have you back on soon. So
those
you
are
can hit
the ones,
them all soon.
Yeah, usually I keep a list on my phone, but I don't even have it up.
I will shout out Fight Chicks like I do almost every episode. Everybody that hears me.
Fight Chicks. Yeah, you can, if you want a pair of spats, if you're a jiu-jitsu guy, I'd recommend buying the Squatch spats. You'll find them on fightchicks.com, and they are one of a kind.
Where did your Squatch shirt go? Because I need it.
Oh, it was on Jake's website. He took it down. He didn't do a lot of sales. But which one? The one with the 10th Planet one?
Yeah.
Oh, you can find that at 10thplanetjjchicago.com. Go to the store. There is a Squatch, 10th Planet Squatch t-shirt. It's a 10th Planet Chicago. It's not a limited run. It's a direct to garment run, so you can get it at any time. The image is going to stay up there, so I would.
It's one of the sweetest shirts ever.
Yeah,
I sent it to
cool.
my graphic designer, and she goes, "You need that shirt."
Yeah, they're pretty.
And I was like, "Oh,
they're
you
pretty
know
sick. They're pretty sick. I don't even have one, but I will get one soon. I'm just.
Yeah, I've seen you rocking it before. You like?
No.
Or maybe it was Jake rocking it.
Yeah, Jake was rocking it. All the other guys were rocking it. I don't have one.
Guys, I'm telling you, listeners, right
dope.
now, you need the 10th Planet Squatch shirt. I need the 10th Planet Squatch shirt. It is.
And for all you squatchy fellas out there, it goes into I think it's 4X or 5X. So if you're extra squatchy, you can get yourself one too.
My dad and my brother are 3Xers.
Well, they're good. I think they can get one. I think they fit in the.
I'm gonna get it. That's their Christmas present. So I hope that they didn't listen this far into the podcast, because if they did, they just heard their Christmas present.
Well, you know what? Maybe you just give it to them for Thanksgiving, and it's a Thanksgiving present instead.
Oh, did you hear that, brother and dad?
You don't know what kind of present you're getting.
You're getting a present.
You're getting a present, but when?
And if it comes at Thanksgiving, I want a Thanksgiving present as well. But no, I want to say thank you, John, for coming on. Missing Jibs on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
And
Facebook's
then I think
John Mejia.
Yeah, Facebook's John Mejia. I'm
gonna post the links below.
My shit's on private, so if you really want to friend me and you're really interested in meeting me or whatever, just hit me up. I'll probably let you through. But
I've probably got some family members that would like to follow.
Yeah, that's cool.
Know.
You guys can follow me on Instagram. That's probably where I'm most active. But Facebook and stuff like that, I really just hate using it because I don't really want to see everybody's fake fucking life. I just want to see. Everybody shows you the highlights on social media,
That's true. I mean, I show everybody Head Kick Radio.
Well, that's different though. You've got to market yourself, right? And it's so do I as somebody who's in jiu-jitsu, but that's not something that I don't want to. If you're marketing something, good, but if you're just taking photos,
well, nobody wants somebody selling something to them, even if it's free all the time.
Yeah, that's true. And the problem is that everybody gets so wrapped up in the shit, and everybody's so worried about their image in it. Does it really matter?
This is podcast 2. Hopefully I can get you back in here in the next 2-3 weeks, and I want episode 2 to come from this, because I have so many questions that I didn't even get to get to, and we're going on over an hour and a half here. But we're going to wrap this up. This is episode 10 of Head Kick Radio. I'm glad you're paying attention to this.
Episode 10. Oh man, I'm just happy to be here. Thanks so much for having me. I've had a wonderful time, man. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a bit either.
It's been a hot minute, man. I'm so glad you came on. I want to get some other guys on too, especially Josh and Hav if they're listening this far, if they listen at all. But hang on real quick before we sign out. Talk about the dinner. If you come here, tell everybody you get a steak dinner and some salad.
Or girls, you gotta come and do the Head Kick Radio, because you show up, you walk in, the camera's in your face, they're getting a little FaceTime here, and then next thing you walk into just a wonderful smell of steak, and it's just cooked perfectly to perfection. I like my steak medium rare. I know some of you people like it still bloody and mooing, but
yeah, Matt.
But medium rare is for me. But Mr. Steven over here does a wonderful job cooking some steak, and wonderful job with the salad. And you know what? I would suggest you bring a nice housewarming gift of some alcohol or something to get the lubricate the mind, so have a little bit of fun. And it's a wonderful experience. It's top notch.
Podcasting's a blast, isn't it?
Dude, podcasting is the best. You get people listening to you, and you don't even know them, so they're paying attention to you. So
all about real conversations, 100% of the time.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, and that's what I love, is that it's two dudes just shooting the shit, saying some real shit, saying some funny shit, and just fucking off.
John, thank you so much for coming on, my friend. we're doing this again in a few weeks.
Yeah,
everybody,
absolutely.
Please comment, subscribe, like, let us know what you think. We'll try to improve upon it. Thank you all for listening.
If you don't like me, don't tell me, because I really don't. I don't want to know that. So just, if you only positive comments. So only gas me up. I don't want to hear about the other shit. I don't want to hear about how I sound like shit or whatever. So
probably all the curse words. Like, that was the thing my dad told me. He's like, watch the curse words, and I think I've been pretty good, Dad. So if you're listening this far too.
Oh, Steven has 100% been great with the curse words. Myself, though, I'm not so good. So I apologize to all the listeners for my language, but when you grow up in a hockey locker room, you got to be a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, just be you. Like, you got to be you're
a little rough around the edges. I'll say that.
We got to be who we are. Thank you, John, for coming on. Everybody, thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, comment. Appreciate you all.
Like Head Kick Radio. Don't be a piece of shit.
Thank you. We've signed off this thing 12 times now. We out.
Bye.